Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast, presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Make sure you download the app and use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. We are 4 wide on a Thursday afternoon. We're all geared out in our CHGO merch. Jared Wyllys and I going with the varsity sweatshirt hoodie. Cody's got the CHGO basketball with the beanie. Look at this. Ryan Herrera's got the camo CHGO hoodie, all for sale at allchgo.com.
CHGO Locker, yeah.
CHGO Locker. And
20%
you can also
off
read,
if you're a diehard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, diehard. I forgot about that. And you
How do
get
you
the
forget?
card.
That's like the best deal in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I didn't get the hat memo, though.
the beanie? Oh, I've got
yeah,
one.
You guys
I
should
wear
have
a
let me
hat
know.
every
You're
day
all
on the
wearing
show.
hats.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you got the nice slick back a little bit hair.
That's
gel.
He's got the
Go
good
with
hair
it,
going
yeah.
on.
Yeah, I just put the hat on because
So
I have bed hat.
I put a
and
beanie
I
on and
fix
my hat hair. It's a disaster. I can't let the internet see it.
it. Yeah.
Understand.
You know, and people were wondering, first of all,
Well, Law Dog, you're laughing, but it's true.
what were we, like 30 seconds late from 120? Everybody's trying to say that it's my fault. Well, I was here.
And then,
I was here. I got some chicken nuggets in my teeth, but I was here.
I
Okay?
was here.
well, then
4
Blue
minutes to
Dabs,
spare, but I
Blue
was
Dab
here.
is saying Cody's Del Tardy. And
No.
This is not the day to do that.
No.
Blue Dabs.
Not
It's
the
not
day
the day.
for that.
This is not the day. Cody's been dealing with passport issues, trying to get on a vacation. When did you apply for this passport? October?
October, yeah.
You did the whole thing, right?
What the hell's wrong with our government?
The
that you
thing
can't
is
get a
is
passport
I-
from October to January.
The thing is like it's not even like I'm applying for one. I'm applying to renew one.
Yes.
Like I already had one. I had one for 10 years and it expired.
All I got to do
Right.
is update the picture.
You're not
Yeah.
applying for a passport having come from 8 different countries
Right.
with
With a
6
bunch of-
different name changes.
Turns
Right,
out-
a bunch of aliases and
Yeah.
stuff like
Turns
that.
out it's
This
harder
is-
to leave this country if you're a citizen than it is to come here. There you go.
I don't know.
People
I don't
will
know if that's
disagree.
true.
We're
People
not
will
gonna-
disagree
we're not
with
gonna
that.
broach that
But
subject
that's
here on
how.
the
That's what's
CHGO.
in my head now.
I mean, I think you can get out. They just won't let you back in. I think that's how it works.
I don't know how it works.
But
I've
But-
just been watching The Sopranos. Just when I thought I was out, they pull you back in.
What I said was they should just like how the DMV will give you the paper ID until you get your real
Right,
ID in the
right.
mail.
Yes.
Just do it with the passport.
and especially for a renewal, you've got it already.
I guess the
okay.
passport has that little booklet. I don't know what else is in the booklet. If I'm being honest, I only know the page with your with your picture on it.
Another idea.
So it's like,
Listen, the diehard card's got to count for something.
yeah,
Flash
See
that
if you can
thing,
get
yeah.
through. See if you can get through security. If you
Yeah.
don't get back, you're in Mexico for the winter.
the
It's
Die
like
Hard card.
it's like Dumb
You
and
know.
Dumber. You just it's okay.
Let's do all our shows remote
diehard.
from Mexico.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
put it in like a leather pouch and be like, Delmendo, diehard.
Yeah, just real
CHGO
fast.
diehard.
I don't know where Blue Dabs is from, but he said his state got the new digital driver's license. It's haywire. My brother just moved to Texas, and he's still like there's like a wait list to go to the DMV to get his new license. He said
Is
like
it-
a month. I think it's in February is when he said.
As if anybody wants to go to the DMV.
Yes,
Now
exactly.
you've created a wait list to get there.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what I'm like.
Yeah.
I'm like, we could just walk into the DMV, get
So-
it, get the ticket, and by the time you're in and out in a
this
couple
is
hours
like
probably.
Not only is it frustrating because I'm trying to just renew my passport,
Right.
but the people at the passport agency are no help. Like I don't even know what their job is at this point.
They're still on holiday.
Well, they're there and
Yeah.
they're taking calls and telling people bullshit. Like this is like they keep telling me I have to get an appointment. Okay. Can I get an appointment? And they're like, no, they're all full.
Damn.
In all 26 locations in the United States, they're all full.
Shouldn't they, when you applied in October, shouldn't you have gotten an update at some point from them saying like, you should get an appointment because this isn't working? Like
One would think,
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some sort of
and
feedback?
it even asks when you do it, when are you leaving the country? And I put the date that I'm leaving
Yeah.
the country. Like,
And you're doing the responsible thing. It's months
Yeah.
in advance.
yeah.
So now you're
okay.
going to waste your passport fee.
Yeah.
You're going to waste an airplane ride
Yeah.
to Mexico. You're going to waste an all-inclusive resort
Oh, and the airplane ride back.
and the airplane ride back.
Yeah.
So I think the way to go here, Cody, is to put it out to anybody in CHGO land. If you want to go to Mexico on Cody's dime,
I don't think she would like that.
she wouldn't. But
You might want to vet these people first.
I'll say this: my tips are open on Twitter.
Yeah, if you want to pay him
My
back,
tips
Help
are
him
open
out.
on Twitter. You
Help
know what I
him
mean?
He's got a ticket to an all-inclusive.
His Venmo is Cody_CHGO. Maybe not. I don't know what it is.
No, that's not my Venmo. But if you go to my Twitter account, tips at the top, there you go.
What if you're just willing to sit in the middle seat on Southwest Airlines like
Frank Schwindel?
Frank Schwindel. Can't you do it? No?
Yeah,
Right.
Mike Dub said you can cover Mexican League baseball, Cody. Actually, you
that's a good
can
point.
because he can't get there.
That's
maybe
the problem.
not. Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, we feel for you, and
At least you guys all
hopefully-
get to see me next week.
well, there's still no chance. There's no chance it's happening.
I mean, I already canceled my flight. You know what I
Here,
mean?
oh my!
So they've told
Cody.
you for sure that it's not going to be here next week.
Well, I can't.
What's
Like,
on
no one
Monday?
can tell me. Like, there's
Oh,
no
you
one
just-
telling
Oh, boy.
me.
Oh,
Oh boy!
And it's on Monday.
Are you
when
thinking what I'm
leave,
thinking,
right?
Law? It's going to show up on Saturday.
yeah. Don't even put that in the universe.
If it shows
No,
up on
it's-
Saturday, the only thing that could happen worse to Cody is if Molina comes back for one more year.
So here's the reason that I went
the
ahead and
knife.
canceled mine, is I get a call from the resort today telling me that my credit card was declined, and the reason being was because my credit card got hacked like a month ago, and I had to get a new one, and I just didn't call them to give them my new card, and well they'd be emailing me this week because I hadn't done it, and I got an email this morning saying, if you do not give us your credit card, we're going to cancel the reservation.
But you can't.
But I can't do that. And they said they're going to cancel the reservation like by tomorrow. And so it's like
So then she won't be able to go.
yeah, so then she wouldn't be and we're in a I'm in a situation of, okay, what are the odds of it showing up by tomorrow at this point when, again, no tracking number on mytravel.gov.
Right.
And that's the main reason that I went and did, is like, because all the people on the passport agency told me that if there's no tracking number available yet still, that means it's still, quote unquote, processing. So I'm feeling pretty good about the fact that it's just not going to be here, which sucks, but that's why I did what I did.
Right.
Well, I guess the consolation is you don't have to stay up at night thinking about Rafael Devers anymore.
Yeah, I guess.
That is
Like
true.
that won't keep you up at night. You won't lose sleep over it
The
anymore.
Devers dream is done. The Devers dream is done. So over $300 million. We talked so much about him in the last week, right? It was the pipe dream of getting their long-term third baseman, 26, left-handed power, everything you want in a third baseman. And we thought, well, he looked nice next to Dansby Swanson. If the Red Sox were willing to trade Mookie Betts and let Xander Bogaerts go, maybe they're just going to tank and reload Cubs style, and they're going to let everybody go. Well, it appears not. They gave him $300+ million. And here's a guy who hit 27 homers last year, 38 homers the year before. Bogaerts was older. I'm just curious why of those guys, he's the one they decided they couldn't let get away. Is it because the other two? Is it because Betts didn't want to play in Boston? Is that still what we believe? He turned down a deal and was like, I'd rather be in L.A.
Yeah, and I think at the time, and probably still, L.A. was a more desirable place to play just in terms of the quality of the team that you're going to. And for a while, it looked like Boston was headed for a full-out rebuild. And I honestly thought, I think I said this on Tuesday, but when they reached that arbitration number for Devers, that 1 year, $17 million deal, I thought, okay, this is just setting him up to be traded at the deadline.
Right.
It still looked at that, even 2 days ago, like they're in full out tear it down mode, and he's just going to be, one of the last pieces to go. It just might not happen for 6 months. But then here they go with this extension, which, so for whatever reason, it appears as though they made the decision that this is the guy we want to now start to build around. We let these other guys go for different reasons, but Devers is the guy that we're keeping him here, and then we're building from there. But yeah, what would be interesting is to kind of dive into, well, why him, not Bogaerts? I think we kind of know, like you said, with Betts, but yeah, it might be as simple as that.
Walk it back a little bit related to Mookie Betts. I don't remember exactly how it went down. Luke, like you said, they offered him a contract, he declined it, then they traded him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And at that point, I don't think the Red Sox were in motion to go full rebuild. I mean, they just went to the ALCS, not this year, but the year before.
Yeah.
What
mean?
What year was that again? Is that
2019? He played for Los Angeles. His first year with Los Angeles was in 2020, right? So it had to be 2019.
I guess
That's
so.
right. And just a year off of winning
the
World Series.
The top
Yeah.
prospect
They won the
they
World
got
Series.
for him, they've already DFA'd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Betts thing,
true,
I don't
yeah.
know if it has anything to do with him not wanting to be in Boston. I think it has more to do with they just didn't want to pay him. And they let Bogarts walk. I mean, I don't blame Boston for not giving Bogarts that long of a contract, I guess. Like, that one's kind of like we were all surprised. I mean, $120 million more and 5 or 6 more years than what the projected was, right? Like, I get that from a business standpoint. But Devers, I mean, he's young. Like, he's going to be 26 next year. You give him if there's anyone to give an 11-year contract to, it's someone that's in their mid-20s, right? And he's one of the best players at his position in the league. Like, I do think that, they needed to pay him because Boston would have, like, the organization would have got, like, Cubs-style shredded, by the media and their fan base.
They were already getting shredded.
Yeah, and they were already having a bad offseason. So I will say I think partly it is because of the backlash, but also, like, at least this guy, like, at least he's not 32 and entering the back end of his prime. Like, he's straight up, like, 26, entering his prime, already one of the better players in the league. So I guess the only thing that I'm coming from this is the Mookie Betts thing still doesn't make sense to me, other than the fact that they just didn't want to pay him. And they're probably going to regret that for a long time because he's one of the best players in the league. But at least they kept Devers, who, again, is really good.
So you avoid a total failure in that way. And I think, like, I see Tom in the comments just saying he couldn't afford to screw the pooch again. Maybe it's just as simple as you can't let this be just a total bust of an offseason. You got to have one win for the fans. So, Bogarts is gone, but we extended Devers. We've locked him down because I think there's no trade clause in there. Is that right?
I didn't see anything about the no trade clause. There might be. I mean, I'm sure all the details haven't come out yet.
Yeah.
But there might be, there might not be.
I just think it's funny that it was so fluid that they thought they had to get the 1-year deal done to avoid arbitration. And then literally like
later.
2 days later and 1 day later, they've got this multi-year deal.
Which goes into, I'm pretty sure.
What a waste of lawyer fees, by the way.
I'm pretty sure it starts like this upcoming season. So like all that, it would have made more sense if they did that, had the 1 year of arbitration, and then the deal starts the next year. They basically just bought out that year of arbitration that they had just come to terms of an agreement 2 days before.
I did see that arbitration number is included in the extension. It's a part of that. So it's not like that plus the extension. But it is. The timing was weird. You get arbitration and then just like that, now you've reached this extension.
And it also strikes me like how much the market itself affected it. And I mean, I know the Red Sox lost Xander Bogaerts, and that also is a reason why they like kind of made it a priority to re-sign Devers before the season. But just as far as like the amount of money these guys were getting on the market. And I know there were shortstops, but like Aaron Judge got $360 million. Pitchers were getting crazy amounts of money. I mean, I feel like the average salary of big deals, big time superstar deals that were given up was higher. It was definitely higher than we've like seen. Like I forgot how many billions have been given out in guaranteed money this year. It had reached $1 billion. I'm pretty sure.
Oh no, it was over $2 billion.
Was it $2?
Over $2 billion.
So I wonder how much the market affected it, because would he have gotten if we were a year ago? I guess lockout changes things, but a year ago, no lockout, whatever. Before this whole free agent market, does Devers get $331 million? Like that's a lot That's a lot of money.
Well, it is interesting the way that the free agent market has shifted so much just in the last few years. We're not that far removed from guys like Dallas Keuchel and Craig Kimbrell not getting contracts until June because things had gone so cold in that market. Now, granted, this winter, that was about as elite of a class of free agents as you could ask for.
That's what Ian Happ said to us. He's like, yes, all this money's being spent, but remember, they were some of the best players in all of baseball, and Devers is included in that group.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, because he's before Correa's whole thing, when the one he agreed to with the Mets was $350 million over 13 years. I mean, Trey Turner didn't even get as much as Devers just got in his extension. So it is crazy to me how much. I mean, I know Rafael Devers is a very good player, and I think his age helps him in that sense of like he's 3-4 years younger than Trey Turner is right now.
Left-handed.
2 to 3 years younger than Correa. Left-handed. He's a different position. All that stuff plays in his favor. It's just the amount of money that is like for the superstars just strikes me. And then I mean, this is a weird thought. It has nothing to do with Devers, but now seeing what he got, seeing what Correa got, it makes me wonder, like, when Soto hits free agency in 2 years, if he does, what the hell is he going to get? Because he already turned down, what, 400-something million from the Nats? I mean, maybe knowing that he didn't want to play for the Nats played a part in that, but, like, he turned down over $100 million more than what Devers got.
When we've already seen people throw out the $500 million number for Shohei Ohtani, and maybe Juan Soto doesn't get quite that much, but he might come close. You know, we could see the first $500 million contract.
Eventually we will. Even if it's not those two guys, eventually we will. But it sure does look like it's trending that way.
I just looked up the seven biggest contracts in Red Sox history, and the Devers is now like the biggest contract they've ever given out.
What was number two?
Number 2 is David Price at like $213.
$213, okay. So he blows it out of the water.
Yeah, he blew it out of the water. So, I mean, you know, we've sat here and talked about how the Cubs aren't even willing to go over the $200 million mark. I mean, at some point, this organization's going to have to do it, whether it's for a guy that they developed themselves or if they just go out and shell the money. I mean, Gordon was here yesterday. When we sat here and talked to him for another 15, 20, 30 minutes after the show, and, you know, like, he basically said, like, the Cubs have this money. They have all this money to spend. And, again, they signed Swanson this offseason, and it's a good signing in my opinion, and I'm happy about it and all that. But I think unless they make a major trade now with Devers off the board, with that dream of maybe making a trade for him, like, I'm going into spring training thinking this is basically the roster the Cubs have, unless they make a major trade.
It pretty much looks that way.
Yeah. And I basically sit for the offseason at this moment, I'd give the Cubs a C or a C+. And I was hoping for more, man.
Well, it's just kind of crazy how quickly the shine of signing Dansby Swanson wore off this offseason. Like, that was our biggest show. We had the emergency pod. Like, that was the talk of Cubs Nation for, like, a good few days until the press conference went, probably even a couple days after. And then now it's kind of back to, like, people are frustrated and disappointed again. It's like, they did spend
the buzz wore off when they didn't get two. When the first person floated the idea of two of those guys, all of the sudden, every goober out there was like, they're going to get two of them. They're going to get two of them.
To me, it's not even that.
Was that ever even realistic? I mean,
probably not.
That was
somebody got a dream.
Somebody floated an idea somewhere,
but it still
and we
becomes like, what do they do with third base now? Like that. So the Devers dream was that they were going to be so frustrated, couldn't deal, they'd have to deal him. And you can debate all you want whether or not he was worth the prospects and then paying that massive extension that he just got. Maybe he was to you, maybe he wasn't. The point is, he was a good young player that at least was a possibility of some kind, whether he reached free agency, which was totally unlikely, but at least there was that possibility. So now it's left with, okay, so what is their plan for the future at third base, right? Because you don't hear about the Cubs. You don't hear a bunch of guys going, oh, yeah, the Cubs have a third baseman in the farm system who's the next great third base. They don't have Chris Bryant sitting there at third base. And it's a power position. Yeah. You talked about that, like how you want to see third and first. Okay, so at least maybe Mervis is the guy at first.
Yeah, I mean,
who's the guy at third?
They have Triantos. Triantos is like a future potentially, but he's still a couple years away.
Road, right?
Yeah. He's still like 3 years away. I'm saying, like, in as far as the Cubs pipeline right now, like, Triantos is probably the one guy that, like, that's their third base in the future. Well, he's still 2-3 years away, and like you said, he's not Chris Bryant.
So the only option is finding a trade partner for a third baseman in the future. We've heard Javi's name. People throw out Javi's name because he didn't go well the first time.
With the Tigers.
And then the next pipe dream along is, will Manny Machado opt out?
I think
and Ohtani is still possible.
and
that's not third base, but
it's correct. But if you pay him enough, he might play third pitch and also DH.
Yeah. Well, the hard thing with it, because I know the Manny Machado thing has come up here lately as a slim possibility, but I think there's a problem with, it's one thing to kind of plan ahead, and you look a few years down the road and you're planning on your roster construction, for 23, 24, 25, all that kind of thing. But there's so many variables that go into that, and pinning your hopes on maybe Machado's going to opt out, and then we're going to have this chance to make a run at him. I think that would be lovely. But I don't know that is how you want to build a contending team, is pinning hopes on something with that number of variables. Because it's, at least at first base, you have Matt Mervis, who I've said already that my expectations are kind of low, but at least he's a guy where there's potential there. He could very well turn into your first baseman of the future. That is a real possibility. And so that's fine if now Eric Hosmer is the placeholder stopgap option until Matt Mervis is your guy. You don't have the same thing at third base right now. Patrick Wisdom we know what he's a known quantity at this point. But it's one thing when he's there filling third base, but you don't have anyone set to fill that spot when Wisdom is done.
Right. What's your dream? That Morel develops into that guy? Is that the most likely scenario?
I was
at this
getting
point?
ready to say
that's the whole thing. Is like, because Morel, I mean, he's the guy that can play all over the field. I think that's what the Cubs like him, is he can play all over the
They've
field.
got a lot of those guys. So if he's good at third, stick him at third. You have no third baseman.
That's the point. Is he has to be better at third.
Yeah.
He wasn't great at third this year. And so you don't really know if he's going to be good at third at the major league level because he wasn't.
He can
in his
field
first
it.
year.
He just can't throw.
So he has improvements to make, and can you count
At third at least?
Yeah, you're right.
Can you
Third at
count
least.
on the improvements to be made? Is the whole point? It's like I mean, he's 23 years old. He's going to work his butt off. We know that. That's Christopher Moore. He's going to work his butt off with a smile on his face. But can he be a third baseman of the future? I don't think he's proven that at all. I mean, I'm not saying he can't be, but because he had a really kind of sort of breakout year, at least parts of it. I'm not saying he can't be, but he has to prove that. And so it's another one where you're like, you can't count on him. You can't count on. It goes back to Luke's point of there's no Chris Bryant in the system right now. Even on the major league roster, there's no Chris Bryant that like eventually once he gets there, you can set it and forget it. He's going to be good, which Chris Bryant ended up being for definitely the first 3 years. Injuries kind of took the toll on him later on, but that was him, and you knew that as soon as you drafted him, and he started, flying through the minors. Like, this is the guy. At least at third base, you don't have that.
No. When even if you're thinking about Morel as that option, you're right back to, you're hinging that on, as long as this works out and that works out, does he show he can be consistent at the plate? Does he show that defensively he can improve enough to play third base on a regular basis? Again, I'm right back to there's a lot of variables there, and I'm not comfortable with that.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just don't see the path. I wish I could see the path. I wish I could look at another team and say, all right, they've got a top prospect coming at third. They're going to be willing to get rid of this guy. I pitched last year, hey, if you're trading Ian Happ at the deadline, package him with Patrick Wisdom and tell the White Sox, listen, Moncada's not working. We'll take a flyer on him next year. Here's your power guy at third, and here's your all-star Gold Glover that you can play with a left-handed bat. No, but Rick Hahn didn't pick up my call.
He did not.
So I don't see that guy. I saw somebody in the chat just say Chapman could be the guy. 5 for 1. Okay.
He's great defensively. They would have an elite defensive infield next, in 2024.
The direction they've been
when
going.
Are they going to get? When are they going to get a star player at the corner? Because I am as excited as I am about Matt Mervis, just like everybody hopes that he comes in as that guy. Guys, you can't pin your hopes on one prospect just being like your corner infielder for.
Because isn't that kind of what the Cubs ran into? I'm thinking 15, 20 years ago. There was always that one guy
Corey
that was going to
Patterson.
come, the Corey Patterson, some of those types of guys who we get
guy.
super
Felix
excited.
PA. Yeah, right.
I just like to say pie.
We don't want to get back into that mode where it's like, hey, this one guy is going to come out of the system and he's going to set things right. That's you. Yeah, you can't operate that way.
You got Derek Lee.
Prospects are, they're volatile, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like prospects, the biggest jump is from AAA to or whatever minor leagues to major leagues, whatever level you come from straight to the major leagues. That's the biggest jump you can make, and not even the best prospects sometimes fizzle out when you see that. Like there are guys that do really well in the minor leagues and they get to the majors and struggle, and maybe they overcome it, maybe they don't. Like that's, I think you can feel good about prospects, but like you said, like not every highly touted prospect is gonna come up and be the savior. So to rely on that is not if you're a major league front office, you shouldn't just sit there and be like, all right, we got 2 or 3 really good minor leaguers. Let's, those are going to be our guys.
It
worked out for the Cubs
Sean
last time.
says Henry solved the problem, and I was going to say that Ramirez and Lee. You're right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish Jed Hoyer could find the next Aramis Ramirez to stick at third.
That'd be
but
great.
that
That would
was a
be lovely.
generational trade that just
Rammy.
doesn't like. I don't
Rammy.
even see the
One of my
Aramis
favorite Cubs
Ramirez
of all
out
time.
there. Like
As low.
Devers would be your Aramis Ramirez,
Yeah.
although he wasn't probably as good as Devers is
No.
already. So
I'll say this, this is playing more so devil's advocate. I saw a video on TikTok from our friend of the program, Jake Banowski, and it was just a video of him talking about his thoughts about the Hosmer deal, and he goes through it and all that, and towards the end he talks about how he thinks that this Cubs team can be sneaky good. And, he kind of referenced what we've all been saying here with the term of, we're putting all our chips in on some of these prospects that hit and all that. And then he goes on to say that while that is true, I think we all can still sit here and think the Cubs are in a better position than that plan that they had going into last season.
Yeah.
Because at least you have more answers or more questions answered going into this year.
I think
sure
so.
you're still you got a full year out of Nico Horner and you think that he's going to continue to do that, right? And you think Seiya Suzuki is going to be more consistent. Like I think there were a lot of questions last year. And yeah, we still got a lot of questions going into next season too, but I will say that there are more questions answered, and I think that is okay to then have a little bit more optimism about the team being good, or at least in the wild card chase. Because again, that's all we really wanted, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we would have got Devers, I would have been on the baby, let's go with the NL Central. Like, let's win the NL Central if that would have happened, right?
I'll add on to that a little bit too, and yeah, I agree they're probably in a better position roster wise than they were this past year, and maybe fewer, like if this works out, they could make some noise. Like there may be a few better ones that are like, okay, like you can like adjust and steal. You probably feel good about him being in the rotation versus a year ago. You still didn't know for sure that he was a rotation guy. And I will add on to that as now that we know, I mean, the Cubs, it was going to take a lot for them to, really compete for any sort of deep playoff run this offseason. They were going to have to do a lot of work. Now we kind of know where the Cubs are. There's a few minor moves that can still be made, but we kind of know where they are. And as much as people don't like it and don't want it to be that way, this feels like another season that the Cubs are going to be figuring things out. And at least this time around versus last year, this time around, more of those top guys, Brennan Davis, Alexander Canario, whenever he eventually comes up or is eventually healthy and can come up, potentially Pete Crow Armstrong at the end of the season. There are more guys that, like your top guys, that may actually hit the majors this year, where you can actually get a look at what they can do at the major league level. It's not what people wanted, but at least if you're looking for a positive spin, I'm going to try to spin zone as much as Luke did the other day. Like, at least you can somewhat look forward to some of those top guys eventually making their, major league debuts versus, again, as much as we like, Christopher Morel or Nelson Velasquez, those weren't in the Cubs' like top 10 prospects that were coming up last year. You may have a few of those guys actually hit the big leagues this year, and then you can actually see what they're going to do.
And I think we can all sit here and confidently say this team will the games the Cubs win this year will be because of pitching and defense. And if you have good pitching and defense, like the Guardians are a great example of. I mean, no one thought they'd be shit, and of course their division was bad last year, but still, like the Cubs are in a bad division. Like, and I know they're not going to play same teams 19 times or whatever, but still, like they're in a bad division. They could hang around and be competitive, and if those pitching prospects that we saw last year continue to grow this coming season, then you're feeling better about next season. You're probably sitting in June and July, and you're probably feeling better than you probably are right now, considering Devers is going to be a Red Sox for the next 11 years. So I don't know. Again, I'm still frustrated and annoyed with how things have played out, because I think we all wish they would have done more, especially on the second-tier free agent market. But I ain't going to sit here for the next 12 months and complain about it. Like, what do you want me to do? So at some point we have to move on and just deal with it. But yeah, I mean, at least at least there's less questions to be answered next year than there were in 2022.
But still lots of questions. You mentioned Cleveland, and I think the Guardians are – we'll talk about them a little bit later in the podcast because I do think the Cubs are somewhat following a similar game plan. Not in that they're a small market team and the way they're going about it. It's the three things. It's their pitching, their defense, and what's the third one? Base running.
Yeah.
They tried to steal a lot of bases last year. They tried to take advantage of that. And you think the Cubs look at how many bases they tried. Remember, at some point season last year, Cody, when I looked at each other and like, are the Cubs playing in 1985? Like, when did they start? And they started trying to steal more and more. And now you see the bigger bases coming and the shift going away, and you think maybe the stolen base
might be coming back.
Will start making a bit of a comeback in the game. I don't know if it will or won't this season, but it seems like it's a possibility.
Well, they want more action, right?
As somebody who's
the point.
Grew up watching Ricky Henderson and Vince Coleman and guys like that. Bring back the stolen base. I love it.
I'm for it too.
And that's what this Cubs team was kind of last year. It was without the power. They were trying to manufacture more runs, being more aggressive on the base pass, and sometimes to their detriment, a little too aggressive. Hey, these bigger bases. I mean, they were fourth in the majors in stolen bases this year. Like, if they're going to keep kind of manufacturing these kind of runs and roll out a lot of the same players, I mean, they may lead them. Bold prediction: they may lead the major leagues in stolen bases this year.
And that's why I say Tony Campana might be the solution at third base. We'll just see.
Tony.
Guys, Green Ridge Farm is a Chicago local meat and cheese company offering you a better all-natural option. Makers of all-natural deli meat, sausages, and their famous meat sticks, perfect for tailgating, happy hour, school lunches. All-natural meat sticks that are hardwood smoked for 8 hours, 16 grams of protein per stick, making them a perfect post-workout snack. They come in flavors like chicken, black forest beef, jalapeno cheddar, and spicy chili. If you haven't tried them yet, you don't know what you're missing. They're delicious because they're made from recipes that are generations in the making, and being all natural, they deliver a fresh, flavorful alternative at snack time. You can always find them in the refrigerated section at Costco, Sam's Club, or your Chicagoland grocery stores. And right now, when you order any 3 meat products at greenridgefarm.com, include a pack of meat sticks in your cart. Those meat sticks are free, F-R-E-E, simply by using the code CHGO at checkout. Green Ridge Farm, simply natural meat. Meanwhile, the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities we serve save money and energy. ComEd offers free facility assessments that help find energy-saving opportunities, whether it's lighting, HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes. An authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. That can be done in person or virtually. Lasts about 2 hours. Then within 3 to 4 weeks, customers get their report detailing energy efficiency projects that they can start working on right away. Each recommendation includes an estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. So don't wait. Start saving money and energy today. For energy-saving tips, to schedule your free facility assessment, go to ComEd.com/poweringbiz. Ready to sign up for that facility assessment? Call them at 1-855-433-2700 during normal business hours to speak with a ComEd Energy Efficiency Program representative. Email businessee@comed.com or request an assessment online on their website, comed.com/facility assessment. So the Devers dream is dead, and now the Wade Miley revenge factor begins in Milwaukee.
Oh, you know it's coming, man. I'm looking forward to at least 2 or 3 starts where he goes 6, 7 innings and shuts the Cubs down. And when I say I'm looking forward to it, I'm dreading it. Like, I know it's coming. Like, I've mentally prepared myself for it to happen.
It's good to be prepared.
What did he pitch? 8 to 10 games for the Cubs?
Yeah, but if he's healthy. We even all said here that we would have been happy if he came back and if he was healthy.
I think when they started to see when Miley and it, I'm just guessing. Like let's say the Cubs were interested in, like, hey, throw a flyer out there. When you start to see the amount of arms that they were putting in the rotation, stockpiling, like a lot of teams are trying to do, he probably didn't see a ton of guaranteed starts if he was healthy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, like, upset that Wade Miley's not a Cub. I'm just more of like, of course he went back to Milwaukee where he had success, and now the Cubs are going to have to play him. And,
We just hope he pitches fast games against the Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that I'm looking forward to about it is that the
That's
games
the
will
upside.
take like 2
Yeah.
hours.
He made 8 starts last year.
8 starts.
And I mean, one of the good things about the fact that he was not able to be healthy last year is it did create some of the opportunities for the Keegan Thompsons and the Justin
That's true.
Steeles to get more starts. Even some of the other down the road, does Hayden Wesneski get to pitch the way that he did? Even Adrian Sampson, did really well in some stretches. So do we have we've talked a lot about the confidence that we have in Steele and Thompson now going into 2023. Do we have that if Wade Miley is fully healthy and pitches a full season or even pitches half the season and gets traded in July? Yeah. Maybe we don't. I don't know. So
We probably don't see Keegan Thompson make as many starts.
right. So there's maybe some silver lining to that, although it does feel like all the elements are there for him to go to Milwaukee and then just torment the Cubs.
But
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
he could also be in the same situation the Cubs were going to use him because I don't know about you guys. I think Milwaukee's selling the team in July. Like I think they're trading Burns and maybe even Woodruff in July because I think wasn't that one of your bold predictions that the Cubs would finish above Milwaukee?
I did
Right?
predict
And
that.
if the Cubs are above Milwaukee in July this season, Milwaukee's going to be selling some guys.
By the way, they wouldn't do it, but if Woodruff were available, then I'd be willing to trade some prospects.
Oh yeah,
'Cause that would be your
I'd
ace.
love if
Yes.
Corbin Burns or Woodruff
Burns or
became
Brandon
available and
Freddie
Burns, they
Peralta.
actually
Freddie
did
Peralta is
that.
a very underrated pitcher in my
There's
opinion.
a few starters in that rotation that I would happily welcome.
Yes.
Come on down, make the drive down 94, and we'll be happy to have you. Yeah, just
Never
pick me up
been.
some things at the Mars Cheese Castle, and we're good
Never
to go.
been. Law Dog, you been to the Cheese Castle? What about the Bong Rec Center?
He's not.
Bong Rec area, my bad.
Yeah, he has not been to the Bong Rec area.
Yeah, every time you go up to Wisconsin on 94, there's always the sign for the Bong Rec, and every kid that went by for decades just giggled.
That's like there's
Blue Daz
a
may have been there.
there's a state park in Kentucky called Big Bone Lick.
Yep.
Same
That'll do
thing,
it.
Same thing. Yeah.
Same thing. And then we saw Zach Davies sign with the Diamondbacks. Cody was disappointed about that. He was thinking maybe another Zach Davies run.
Anytime I just see Zach Davies' name pop up on my Twitter timeline, I get PTSD. Like that, I
Start
don't
twitching.
like. If we ever get the pleasure of meeting our friends from PHNX, I'm just gonna tell them straight up. Like Zach Davies, he's one of the reasons it's hard for me to trust. So, good for the Diamondbacks. Thank you. I would have been so mad if the Cubs would have just decided to do something like that again.
I'm just glad you have trust issues because of Zach Davies.
Zach
That's-
Davies,
yeah.
man. Oh my God. What makes me mad about Zach Davies is when he was with Milwaukee, he was pretty good, and you always wondered how is this guy doing it, and everyone had the audacity to compare this guy to Kyle Hendricks, and then he comes to the Cubs in the Yu Darvish trade, and stinks like Edwin Jackson stinks, and yeah,
Like we stinks.
yeah, like it was just the Zach Davies experience was awful, man. Like maybe Tyler Chatwood experience was the only thing worse than the Zach Davies
Ooh.
experience.
Man.
Ooh,
That
I've
didn't
had a lot
pass.
of bad experiences.
He's
bro.
out of
Like,
baseball now.
Chatwood.
I think he
Chatwood
signed
is
with. I thought I heard
Somebody
he
signed him?
No, I gotta
I
see.
thought
I
heard
gotta
he
see
signed
this.
with
I was just about to say which former Cub will give us the most pain this upcoming season.
Wilson.
Well,
Right, it's got to be
Wilson.
Wilson.
Will it be
It's gonna-
Wilson?
It's gonna be Wilson.
It's gotta
Schwarber
be
continues
Wilson.
to give me pain. You know
Yeah,
what
I mean, there's
Like,
Schwarber games when you play the Phillies, will it be?
just watching him hit homers against other teams.
I feel like
Yeah.
Wilson, being in a Cardinals jersey will give Cubs it's just gonna be a hard
Just that visual.
barrier for other
Yeah.
players to overcome. Just the vision of Cubs fans seeing Wilson Contreras in a Cardinals jersey is already like such a big head
the
start.
only way that
Yeah.
it
that
won't-
he'll take if he even plays well, it's like no one else can catch up to that.
Yeah. The only way that it doesn't, if it's not painful, is if he just sucks. Which I hope that doesn't happen. But I'm just saying that it wouldn't be as bad if he wasn't that good.
I don't think there was anybody so far that has Wilson we knew was going. Miley doesn't bother me at all that he is signed. It doesn't bother me that Zach Davies is ever on any other team.
The only thing that I did
it's not like last year where we were watching to wait and see where guys were going to really go.
Right.
The only thing I liked about Miley's exit was on his way out, Tucker Barnhart comes in and he said that Wade Miley was a big reason why he even signed with the Cubs.
Yep.
So,
And
And people
Miley
don't
was
like
a
it because
positive.
people don't like the Barnhart signing for some reason. I think he's a fine,
it's a fine move.
I mean, he's a fine part-time catcher for.
They don't
for
like
the
it
Cubs.
because they had an
Because they had-
all-star catcher. They had a guy that was
because you
Or they
also
had,
we
or
wanted
because they had
Vasquez.
visions of like a crazier offseason
Right.
for the Cubs, and like Barnhart was supposed to be that last little throw-in piece of like a.
I think
It's why
Barnhart.
people, it's also why people hate. We said yesterday, a lot of people that hate the Hosmer deal just are always going to compare him to Rizzo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Well, and if you look at Barnhart as like we replaced Contreras with Barnhart, then of course you're not going to like it. But that's not really the way that you should look at it because
Right.
that's not how this is operating.
Yeah. I think Barnhart has the potential to, I guess, in a way, surprise us like Yan Gomes did. Like, I would say that Yan Gomes played better than what I expected last year. So now that he's going to play 50% of the time along with Barnhart playing 50% of the time, then maybe we just, you get production of just a solid catching core that makes the pitchers better than what we expect, and you get good defense, and like that's the angle the Cubs want to go, and like that's fine.
Well, and I think that's what you want. Is this is the direction the Cubs are going, of course. But now you got Yan Gomes, who, like you said, probably performed better than we expected, and is a very respected catcher in baseball, just around the game. Barnhart kind of in the same vein, former Gold Glove. He's, I think, 17-20 were his Gold Glove season, so it's been a couple of years. But both those guys are guys that people like pitchers will like, they'll call their games, working with them in bullpens, all that different stuff. And for that, especially when you have guys like Justin Steele, Keegan Thompson, even Adbert Alzolay, who's still trying to, kind of discover himself at the major league level. You might have arms coming up from the minor leagues, relievers. Jordan Wicks could eventually come up this year, guys like that. And what you want, and this is not even a knock on Wilson, because like a lot of that, the game calling and that kind of stuff is so not, you don't really have the ability to like see stats for that, the game calling and how you work with a pitching staff and bullpens. Like, you can't measure that. At least we can't. But like to have two guys that have documented evidence from, just from pitchers and pitching staffs talking about how good they are working with pitching staffs and calling games and calling bullpens, all that stuff. To have two guys that could do that with a lot of young pitchers on this staff, I think that's a huge benefit for those guys, not just, developing or winning games or whatever, but their own personal development. Because if you trust the guy you're working with behind the plate, that gives you a lot more confidence than anything.
Well, if your new game plan for moving forward with the franchise is to invest in pitching, right? The first time around it was bats because everybody was doing the opposite. The Cubs have always tried to, with Jed and now, or Theo and now Jed, tried to flip the script. Now they're investing in the pitching. It seems like a wise thing to have a guy that's going to help those guys, right? I agree with that, 100%.
For the first time in 20 years, the Cubs are producing pitching out of their system. So, again, like they don't have the bats coming out of the system the way that they did 6-7 years ago. Now it's arms, and so yeah, it makes sense. Invest in some veteran catchers to pair with those young pitchers.
Yeah.
And perhaps Swanson replaces that offense from Contreras, and obviously
He'll have to prove it.
And
for sure,
obviously you're hoping some of these other guys.
You're hoping Madrigal hits 35 home runs.
Just the small matter of Nick Madrigal.
I don't even know what expectation we should put for Madrigal, because obviously he's not going to play every day now. Like, I'm honestly just hoping, if anything, that he's just healthy and they just find a role for him.
I think that's you put anything on Madrigal for 2023, it's be healthy for the whole season. Yeah. That's your objective. We know what kind of hitter you probably are going to be over a full season, but the trouble for him has always been just staying on the field. So figure that out, and then we'll go from there.
Let's just throw out the scenario that Madrigal is healthy and he turns into the type of hitter that is on base constantly because he's getting so many base hits.
Maybe raises his walk rate some, like a
and you're like,
points.
Okay, this is a player that I can play every day. We know he can only play second base. is there some tiny 1%, 2% chance that they would put him at second and then try moving Nico to third?
Maybe.
Would Nico have – I mean, I didn't think Nico necessarily had the arm to do short, but he proved me wrong.
Yeah.
He was more than had the arm to do it. He was great last year.
Yeah.
I just don't know, like, I don't see the path for playing time. I know Joe Madden used to always say those things work themselves out. But I think the big question for a lot of people is, is Madrigal really a major league player? And if he is, then how does he fit? Eventually, they're going to have to fit guys into a roster.
Right now, I see Madrigal as kind of like what Tommy La Stella was, which is just a pinch hitter off the bench and who can play second base,
which is still a
or
role.
third. Even Madrigal can't play third, but he did play third.
Jesse Rogers loved him.
And
but I'm just saying, like that's how I see it.
Given the kind of hitter that we
3
think
a.m.
Madrigal is, if you're going to have a guy you want coming off the bench to pinch hit for you, I know with the DH that's less of a thing than it used to be, but if you want that kind of a guy on your roster, Madrigal, you could do worse, a lot worse.
And we've seen Rossi do like really play the matchup game, especially in the late innings of close games, where he's taking guys out, pinch hit for guys, and we're all sitting here scratching our head. And, yeah, maybe sometimes it didn't work out, but other times it did. So, I mean, I think Madrigal, honestly, like, he's a better bench player than what the Cubs really had coming off the bench last year.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, and again, to me, he's got to stay healthy. And me and Ryan talked about before at the end of the season on post-game shows about Madrigal in terms of just, like, how this offseason was huge for him, just being able to stay healthy and maybe, transform his body a little bit.
He talked about that.
Be able to do more. Like, if he wants to be a major league player, if he wants to, like, stay up here, like, the Cubs have to be relaying this to him. Like, if not, then please tell me he's listening to this podcast so I'm telling him. Like that, he has to know that, especially now knowing that Horner and Swanson are going to be the guys up the middle. Like, he's fighting for his major league life, dude. So, again, I don't have high expectations, but he is a guy that I do think that, might open our eyes a little bit in terms of being a little bit of a surprise because of the role that he'll be in.
Yeah, well, at this point, it's like because of the health issues and even some of the unproductive stretches he had last year. Obviously, we know his August was really good, and that's like the type of hitter I guess we hope Madrigal could be if he gets a full healthy season. That kind of stuff. Right now, there's not a path for everyday playing time for him because I guess the expectation right now is Dansby at short, Nico at second. So the path to 600, plate appearances every this upcoming season, you can't really see it. But if he's a guy that when he gets out there, he plays well, he plays great defense, he hits the ball like the Cubs expected when they traded for him, then that's the kind of situation where he starts to force the issue and make the Cubs figure out a way to get him to play every day. Whether that's moving, giving Dansby an extra day off, or Nico an extra day off, or making sure Nico gets in at the DH, whatever needs to happen. I think that's like best case scenario for him right now because, again, it's looking like Dansby short, Nico second. Where's Nick Madrigal fit into that? He's got to kind of force the issue himself. He's got to force them to play him every day, knowing that, hey, we can't just leave his bat on the bench. Like, we got to have him. We got to get him 3 at-bats every game at least.
That's the kind of problem I want the Cubs to have.
Yeah,
sure.
That
goes back to what I said about the bench.
Everybody wants that.
Right.
It's just whether or not it's actually going to happen. That's where. Yeah. By the way, did you guys notice if you're watching on YouTube, little addition to the set today, Connect Roasters Coffee.
We got we got a Connect mug here. We've got some of their delicious coffee on hand. I've been enjoying it at home quite a bit lately. Yeah. This is good stuff.
Thing is, I don't even like coffee, but I would try the Connect Roasters.
Coffee smells great.
Like you got to turn it.
Sorry about that.
It came in the mail yesterday. Like I saw it sitting on the table over there, and of course, in classic Cody fashion, I asked, "Can I take the mug home?" And no one gave me a yes or no, so I just didn't.
I told you it was not my call.
Well, yeah. Isn't that, if no one tells you yes or no, I think that just gives you license to, just take it.
I did not. Yeah. But
no, it is right there.
It's a nice mug. I'd like to add it to our collection at our apartment.
But I feel like the real test for a mug is how, the finger grip, how many you can get through that handle. And, do you want the pinky out? Do you, how do you...
Fancy.
These are the things that I consider when
anyone that's watched SpongeBob knows that means you're fancy.
Right.
You get the pinky out.
But, Yeah, some good stuff.
Millennial thing right there. Because Stucky's over here looking at me like, what the hell did he just say?
Ooh. Well, I was gonna, you know how many episodes of SpongeBob I've watched?
Pinky's out.
What?
That'd be a 0. I've never watched SpongeBob in my life.
I have not.
SpongeBob
SpongeBob defined my life.
I believe there are also some stickers that say Ian Happ makes me coffee.
Ooh,
Nice.
Where are
I
they?
those. I saw
I like
that in
those.
Jake's office
I like
over
those. But
there. Oh,
as
on a laptop.
as someone who has been to the Connect roasting facility, I can tell you, those are great people making great coffee.
Does
and
it smell glorious?
Well, one of the things that I went there expecting there to be this smell, but surprisingly during the roasting process, it doesn't smell like you think that
Interesting.
it will. But I did get to drink a cup of Chemex Connect coffee made in a Chemex by Ian Happ. So literally, Ian Happ made me coffee. It was good
Johnny Knox
stuff.
brought me my water one
Good
time
stuff.
at B-Dub, so kind of have that in common.
Johnny Knox?
Yeah, that's a story for a different day.
Dub says in the chat that we need a CHGO blend.
Ooh,
CSGO blend would be cool.
I like this.
I don't know.
I like this.
Maybe
Maybe get
work
Connect
something out with Connect.
Connect Roasters on the phone
Side.
and see what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can call it.
Vibes.
Yeah, we can just
The
call
vibes
it vibes.
blend.
The
Vibes
vibes
blend.
blend.
CHGO vibes blend.
It's got double the caffeine.
the Steve blend.
The Steve blend. I like that. The
All right.
Steve blend.
Yeah, Cody, what about a little DraftKings?
I took the Bulls money line last night.
Oh,
Let me tell you, that felt good. And
See, not
half
everything
the
was
reason
bad.
I did it was because it was a no sweat bet, so I didn't have to care. I was gonna get my money back no matter what. But they won, so shout out to the boys who play at the United Center. Place that bet on DraftKings. New year, same nonstop NBA action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And if you're new to DraftKings Sportsbook, you can place any $5 NBA bet and get $200 in free bets instantly, win or lose. Plus, everyone can take a shot at scoring at any bigger payout with DraftKings same-game parlays. Just combine multiple bets from the same matchup, like who will win, total points scored, and more. At a same-game parlay last night, came short, just on one leg, of course.
Yeah.
I had
how many legs?
4 legs. I
Four-legger.
had Kevin Durant over 30.5. I had Patrick Williams 2 threes. He hit that in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Check mark.
I had someone on the Nets.
I
had rebounds. I had Ben Simmons over 6.5 rebounds. He had 8 or more.
There you
I
go.
know that much. And then I had Zach LaVine over 22.5 points.
Oh,
What do you end up with?
13. It was
Oh,
his lowest total in weeks.
you should have bet Io to pin KD up against the glass.
Should
Hey, you
have.
know
I
what?
should have bet points for Patrick Williams. That would have made my profit even better because he led the team in scoring. And his the market for him is usually around 9-10 points. He scored 20 last night.
Hey, at
22.
least our Mizzou pick of the week hit yesterday.
Yeah,
Mizzou
Mizzou
plus
plus 7.5.
Oh,
They-
Mizzou.
But they blew a
they
21-point lead.
They
so.
did, and I didn't text Ryan about it. And I really didn't. All right. I was too
Yeah,
busy
at least
watching
we lost
Illinois
to
ruin
a-
my fucking night.
We lost to a
Just tough.
A top
Anyway,
25 team
you can
on the road.
You can be heartbroken or excited when you download the DraftKings Sportsbook, guys. Download it now and sign up with code CHGO. New customers bet $5 on the NBA and get $200 in free bets instantly. That's with code CHGO only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details in your podcast or YouTube description. We ride again tonight. North Alabama plus 7.5, folks.
Who isn't?
Iowa.
Yeah, who wouldn't bet
Give us
that?
something bold. Everybody's
Yeah,
doing
I
that.
mean, come on.
But when you win your North Alabama bet tonight, you can use that money, turn it around, and go spend that on Shady Rays. Shady Rays never understood why sunglasses were so expensive, so they set out to change it. You don't have to break the bank for quality sunglasses this fall because our friends at Shady Rays have you covered. Shady Rays are premium, polarized shades featuring world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles catered to everyone and every lifestyle. The best part about Shady Rays, they have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear, lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your shades on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Dropped in the lake, off a cliff, anything, they'll replace them. Even with that strong of a protection program, they still managed to make quality that I can tell you holding in my hand seems just as good as any expensive pair that I have ever worn. I forgot them on my desk at home again, but when I do hold them in my hand, I can tell you that. Shady Rays customers seem to agree with over 200,000 5-star reviews. Shady Rays also provides 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order placed and have donated over 20 million meals to date. They stand behind their product and told our team that if anyone has a problem, they throw profit out the window and do what it takes to get it right. You get free returns and exchanges. You either love the shades or Shady Rays will pay to ship them back. That's it. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is running their deepest deal of the season. Use code CHGO for 50% off 2 or more pairs at shadyrays.com. That's buy one, get one free, BOGO, as Luke likes to say. You get 2 pairs for as low as $54. Redeem that code CHGO for 50% off at shadyrays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades.
The French say Beaujolais.
Beaujolais.
Fuck, that's
So
a great deal.
Yeah, there
They're
you
just
go.
You're approaching
impacted
the
the
over-under on
over-under that
F-bombs.
people were
Yeah.
We're all about
gambling
the
on
over
the
here,
F-bombs
folks.
from
I did.
CHGO today.
So we talked about Tommy LaStella earlier and
Yeah.
some breaking Tommy LaStella news.
Signed with the Cubs.
The Giants put him on release waivers.
There it is.
So
Wow.
there you go.
There's your third baseman.
Third base problem solved.
Solved. It sounds like, we waited for Hosmer. Hosmer's their solution, they think, at first base, along with Mervis maybe. And I thought, gosh, how many Gold Gloves has he won? 4. So then I started thinking, well, how many Gold Gloves does it take to win a wild card spot in 2023? Because the Cubs would be pretty close to it. I started adding them up. I'm like, wait a minute. Hosmer's got 4. Swanson's got 1. Barnhart's got 2. The Cubs have a combined total of 9 Gold Gloves now on their team.
3 in the last 3 seasons.
I go 9.5 because I give Nico half credit because his now teammate is the guy that really beat him out for it.
Yeah.
In my eyes.
And we were all angry he wasn't a finalist.
That's right. So I would say the Cubs have 9.5 Gold Gloves, and it goes back to the Cleveland thing. And yes, their GM has a connection to Cleveland. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Or they just didn't see a path to adding all those bats this offseason. They were like, okay, how do we can't add all the power we needed. What's plan B? Well, let's get better defensively. Let's get better running the bases. Let's put the ball in play a little bit more. I don't know if that part has been accomplished, but.
Well, and their defense was one of their strengths in 2016. You go back and look at their run prevention back then and their run differential that they were able to put up. They probably won't have the same kind of run differential this year because they won't score as much. But, yeah,
They did a lot of things well, though. That's the difference. Like, I agree. Like, you look at 2016 and say, well, that was the best defensive team they ever had. What was the best team they ever had?
Just across the board.
the
Yeah,
best team
everything
they
was
ever had.
good. Yeah, everything was good. But
At least in the modern era, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing what the Cubs do on defense. They have added good defenders on top of what they already had, I guess. I know Wilson gets flack for his defense, but we do know he controlled the running game really well. So I'm curious to see how Yan Gomes and Tucker Barnhart make up for that part of what the Cubs lose defensively with Contreras. Because I don't know the numbers in front of me, but from the eye test, I would say he had a better arm, quicker pop time, whatever you want to say. He's a year younger than. He actually might be the same age as Tucker Barnhart. I'm not sure. A year younger, maybe same age. But it just feels like that part is going to be missing from the Cubs defensively. And so I want to see if Tucker and Yan can kind of make up for that in other ways, even if it's in other ways, but definitely as far as just controlling the running game, how catchers should. It's going to be harder this year with the smaller bases. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. That's what I'm looking for as a former catcher at heart. I like to say all-state bullpen catcher, but
I'd like to see someone says Seiya in there because he was a Gold Glove caliber outfielder in Japan. Love to see him take a big step in right field. There were times last season where he kind of looked like he was lost out there, but I mean,
it's a big learning curve.
Yeah, it's a big learning curve.
And at Wrigley is a tough right field.
Right. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. I don't know if he's going to be a Gold Glove caliber, every single year type guy eventually, but I'm looking forward to better defense from him in 2023.
I'd like to see PCA come up eventually and be a Gold Glove guy. 2 years.
Yeah. I feel confident in that eventually happening. I think he's
the highlights I've seen.
Even if he the strides he's made offensively don't eventually I'm not gonna say they're not gonna pan out, but they're not. It's not as good as you'd like it to be at the major league level. It feels like he at least will be has a really good shot at being a perennial, Gold Glove center fielder. Which, if you got that, you like it.
See, maybe when we did our slogan show, 2023 should have been "Leather is back" in 2023.
There you go.
Ooh.
Leather is back. I actually
Possible
like that.
shirt we could make
Write it
here
down.
at the CHGO locker. Anyways, thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Make sure you download the app. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. Brendan, Corey will be here for a podcast on Friday, and we're back on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, leading you up to the big Cubs convention. Have a great weekend. Until then, fly the W.